What is going on, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for a Smackdown review for September the 11th, 2020. This sucks to me to say because my Smackdown got preempted because in my area, the local Fox affiliate was airing a football game, so you will not be getting this until the next day. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, and I don't know if that's going to be from the next few weeks or what, because here in Ohio, the season ends in like week 7, and they do playoffs, and then it's just a whole bunch of mess. But yeah, so SmackDown was preempted this week. I don't know why, but it was. We live from the Amway Center from former Michael Cole welcomes us to the Thunderdome. He's joined with Corey Graves. Universal Champion Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. The virtual fans in the crowd boo. The pyro goes off stage and all that stuff. Cole and Graves hype Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions on September 27th. Heyman takes the mic and says the tribal chief has asked him to let us in on some history. I'm already hating the tribal chief name. Are you kidding me? The big dog's fine. But I guess they think, the big dog is a babyface name, when honestly it is not. So having him now be called the tribal chief, that's going to kill this gimmick, this heel turn, immediately. So, let's see. Heyman recalls how they got together, and then Reigns captured the title 2 days later at Payback. Last Friday, they laid out all the cards on the table, and the same night, Reigns' cousin stepped up and became the number 1 contender to the Universal title. Heyman says Reigns has given him the honor and privilege to introduce the number 1 contender. Heyman says Jey is Reigns' cousin, but might as well be his blood brother. Heyman goes on and introduces Jey, the music hits, and out comes Jey to a fake pop, as you know. Jey says he's got love for Heyman because of Heyman's history with his family. Gives thanks because now he gets to compete against his blood at Clash of Champions. Heyman tells Jey that thanks should go to Reigns, not himself, because when Big E got taken out last week, it was Reigns' idea to get Jey into the Fatal 4-Way. Reigns says Jey doesn't have to thank him because the blood. They thought about this for years. Reigns and the whole family is proud of Jey. He goes on about how no one gives this to Jey. He earned it, which honestly he did. He went out there and he won last week. Even though it doesn't make any sense why a tag team wrestler is getting a singles title shot off of one match, but hey, this is WWE. He's about to take a big payday home to his family and he earned it. Reigns tells Jey not to look at the title because his big moment won't come at Clash of Champions like when they were kids. Reigns is going to beat Jey's ass at Clash of Champions, then it will still be all love. Reigns says the title has to stay on him to feed their families. Jey says things are different now. They're not little kids, they're grown men. And then out comes Corbin to booze. And we have to continue to go down this route with Corbin. Are you kidding me? Is Reigns a heel? Honestly, is Reigns a heel? Because this doesn't even feel like it's an actual heel turn anymore. I mean, he has Paul Heyman. That solidifies you as a heel. But why do we have Baron Corbin coming out? Why? Now, either tonight or next week, Roman Reigns is going to go completely heel on Jey Uso and beat the ever-living hell out of him to send him to build up for the match at Clash of Champions. Either this week, next week, or the week after. Like the go-home show. The beatdown of Jey Uso is coming. It's just coming. Corbin says he doesn't take a genius to figure this out. This is all a setup. He says Reigns pulled some strings to get a hand-picked opponent to his first title defense. Corbin says this is a classic case of nepotism, and it makes him sick. Corbin is in the ring. Nothing makes him sicker than to see someone walk around and abuse their power. Of course, this is coming from Mr. Baron Corbin, who they blamed Raw's ratings tanking about 2 years ago and him abusing his power. So, the irony. Out comes Sheamus. Sheamus agrees with Corbin. This whole situation sucks. Sheamus jokes about taking Big E out last week. He goes on about how Jey's getting the match was a setup. They have words, and Jey proposes a tag team match for tonight. Sheamus charges, but Jey sends him over the top rope to the floor. Corbin tries to attack, but Jey rocks him and sends him into the ring post. Jey is fired up as Reigns watches with a smirk on his face. Jey's music hits. He looks over at Roman. Heyman is at ringside. Reigns exits the ring as his music starts up now. So, that is going to be your main event. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Baron Corbin and Sheamus. Good grief. Do we really need to see Roman versus Corbin in the main event again? Why? Just why? Because Vince McMahon just loved that Baron Corbin-Roman Reigns feud. You're supposed to be having this guy be a heel. And like I said, I feel that because, I'll just say it right now, that beatdown did not happen tonight. But the beatdown is going to happen where Roman Reigns beats the ever-loving shit out of Jey Uso, leaving him in a pool of maybe piss and blood. I hope to see a little bit of blood, not like, massive pools, maybe a little bit. Give us a little bit of how serious this is going to be. That should be on next week's show, so Jey Uso can try to get his revenge before the pay-per-view match on the go-home show, but that doesn't work out. But that's neither here nor there. Still to come, Bayley will address last week's attack on Sasha Banks. Also, there will be a fatal four-way with Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross versus Lacey Evans versus Tamina to determine Bayley's Clash of Champions opponent. And then we get up next is AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy for the Intercontinental Championship. At least we're moving forward into Clash of Champions. I mean, as we know, Payback got no build, and it was an okay pay-per-view. Sami Zayn is the production truck arguing about the graphic for AJ versus Jeff Hardy. He said he has his Intercontinental title belt and is upset about the match being billed as an Intercontinental title match, even though he is not the actual Intercontinental champion. But let's see what happens with this. Are we going to have a ladder match? Are we going to have a champion versus AJ Styles match at Clash of Champions? They're going to do something. Zayn is warned to not press buttons, but he does anyway, and we cut to commercial break. Intercontinental Champion AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. What can I say? These guys give you great match after great match. These guys are just two of the absolute best to ever do it. No complaints about this match. Hell of a match here. AJ with offense and a 2 count. Hardy blocks a Styles clash and mounts a comeback now. Hardy with a basement dropkick for a 2 count. AJ catches a kick and works on Hardy's hurt knee. Hardy counters and sends AJ into the corner. AJ moves as Hardy goes to the double boot to the corner. Sammy ends up coming down, interfering, and sending AJ into the steel ring steps for the disqualification. So AJ won, but he didn't win the Intercontinental title. So I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to say, well, Sammy's the actual Intercontinental champion, but he's not, and they don't want to leave AJ Styles out of a match at Clash of Champions. So instead of having Jeff win the Intercontinental title, not Jeff lose it, they're just going to have, because you don't want to have heel versus heel, they're going to do babyface versus heel in a triple threat match. They're going that route. That's exactly where they're going. After the bell, Sami Zayn enters the ring and levels Hardy with a haluva kick. Hardy retains by DQ, but Hardy wins the match. JJ wins the match. Hardy and JJ are both down at ringside. Now Sammy raises his title and celebrates. Sammy backs up the ramp as his music plays. Again, obviously the match at Clash of Champions is going to be a triple threat match, most likely, with both championships on the line. And the rightful winner will happen. The rightful champion will be decided, and who knows who that's going to be. We see Roman Reigns and Jey Uso backstage. Jey looks to be going over strategy for the night's tag team main event, and Reigns looks annoyed. We go back to the ringside, and we see Intercontinental Champion Jeff Hardy getting to his feet as the music plays. He tries to walk up the ramp, but he stumbles and goes down. The announcers believe Hardy needs some help. Hardy is down in pain, and we go to commercial break. Good grief. Back from break, and Alicia Aston is outside of the trainer's room. In the back, she says Jeff Hardy was suffering from dehydration. AJ shows up and says Hardy and rants on Hardy being champion because he cheated. He also goes on about Sami Zayn. AJ asks who is the true Intercontinental champion, declaring that he can beat both Hardy and Zayn. AJ doesn't care when or how, but he will prove that he is the one and only Intercontinental champion. Oh my goodness. Again, they're going to have a triple threat match. That's what I'm thinking they're going. They're going to have a triple threat match at pay-per-view. Even though, why not? See, it would have been fine if they would have had Sami Zayn come back and the AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy beef was done and over with, and Jeff was Intercontinental champion, and then you would just go to Jeff versus Sami Zayn with no third man, and we could have possibly a triple threat, a modern day version of the Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon thing that went to WrestleMania 10. Maybe not a ladder match. Who knows? I don't think Jeff should be on ladders in this time in his career, but something. With both titles being on the line, I guess a ladder match would probably be where you want to go with that. They also show the Smackdown Tag Team Champions coming to Raw, the Street Profit confronting the Street Profits. Under the quarterly brand-to-brand invitation to set up the non-title match for next week's show, Cesaro and them are backstage in the Champions Lounge. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins are there. Cesaro and Nakamura off to their match, while the Profits are going to enjoy the lounge and get a scouting report from Monday's match. Cesaro and Nakamura keep warning Ford and Dawkins to not touch anything, but they do anyway. More bullshit, more just, at least they're trying to hype up something, I guess, for Monday, but unless it's going to be a title-for-title, winner-take-all match, why should we care? Cesaro and Nakamura versus Lucha House Party. This is so stupid. Good match here. Lucha House Party win as we see the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, on the big screen. They are throwing a party in the Champions Lounge. Full of people, and Cesaro and Nakamura aren't happy. You want to also know who's not happy? Everyone who's all going crazy about this fucking coronavirus bullshit. I guarantee that gave a lot of people a lot of fits because they're like, oh, there's no social distancing, blah, 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 bullshit. Lucha House Party win. Why? Are we going to have Cesaro and Nakamura versus the Lucha House Party at the pay-per-view? Could we just go and have the champion versus champion match be winner take all at Clash of Champions or on Monday Night Raw? Merge the titles, and then we can go from there and have ourselves one big fucking division. I mean, Bayley and Sasha Banks made it work when it came to having one championship for the tag team titles that they do. And they were on both shows, and they made it work. Why can't the men do that? Why can't the men have one singular title, but the women have to? Give me one championship for the tag team division. Same thing with the women's singles championship, but that's neither here nor there. Backstage, Bayley's walking around with a steel chair in her hand. She looks to be all business tonight. She will be here next. Back from break, we see the Lucha House Party join the Street Profits Party in the Champions Lounge. Who gives a shit? Out comes SmackDown champion Bayley. She is carrying the beat up steel chair that she used to former partner Sasha Banks last week. The piped-in boos get louder as Bayley enters the ring. She simply points to the big screen, and we see a video of what happened last Friday. Which, again, I'm really surprised they allowed that chair shot to happen around her neck. That seemed like something that Fox would go a little too far with. Bayley takes the mic and says, after all that, people were still asking how Bayley is doing when she will be, how Banks will doing when she'll be back. But no one is asking how am I doing or how I feel. Bayley asked if we think she enjoyed that, if it felt good to take the chair and destroy her best friend. Ding dong. Yes, it did feel good. She enjoyed every single second of it. Bayley goes on to say and knows Sasha is watching. Bayley isn't some idiot. She knows all these years that Banks has been up to. She's been waiting for the right time to strike. She kept Bayley close from day one. Bayley says Banks has pretended to be her best friend all along just to use her. How does Bayley know that? Because she's been using Banks every step of the way. She's never cared about Banks or their friendship. She goes on and says she thanks to Banks, she became a dual champion, the first women's Grand Slam champion, and the longest reigning SmackDown women's champion. But after last week, Banks is completely useless to her now. The boos get louder. Bayley stands up from the chair, makes her exit as the music hits, and taking the chair with her. I would say that was a 50-50 good promo. Just Bayley is great at what she does. Now with the champions, but since that's not going to happen, we have a number one contender. It doesn't matter who the number one contender is, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it's the next thing up. But will Sasha Banks interfere, and will Sasha Banks cost Bayley at Clash of Champions? That is a big question to ask. Will she cost her, or will she cost Bayley's opponent because Sasha Banks wants to take the title from Bayley? That is going to be a big question going into Clash of Champions. Will Sasha Banks get involved? And will she A, cost Bayley, or B, help Bayley win, because in the end, she wants to take the title from Bayley. That will be one of the more interesting things, and of course, leading into, obviously, and when you think about it, what's the next pay-per-view after Clash of Champions? Hell in a Cell. Of all the pay-per-views for these two women to go after and go out to, and the blood feud that it's going to turn into, Hell in a Cell is the perfect place for these guys to have their blow-off match. Maybe they have some brawls or something and everything, but it should lead to the Hell in a Cell match being the third, I think it's the third ever women's Hell in a Cell match. Of course, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch was in the last one. And if I'm correct, if this is the third one and Sasha Banks is in this one, she would have been in every women's Hell in a Cell match to date, which would be a hell of a thing. And if I'm correct, this is being the third Hell in a Cell, if it happens, then that means all 4 horsewomen have been in the Hell in a Cell. Hell of an accomplishment. So we get to that fatal 4-way. Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, Tamina Snuka, and Lacey Evans. Did we really have to have Lacey Evans and Tamina Snuka in this match? My goodness. Nikki Cross comes out to the fatal 4-way. And then Cross heads down to the ramp, but go past Bayley. Bayley suddenly lays her out with a steel chair. Shot to the back, and we go to commercial break. Which, that tells you right there, gee, I wonder who's winning this match. I hate when WWE does something like this. Why the fuck are you going to telegraph who's going to win the match? Seriously. Nikki Cross comes out. Big chair shot. Boom. Who do you think's going to win this fucking match? Now, the interesting thing about this match is Alexa Bliss hasn't wrestled since she got attacked by the Fiend. This is her first match. Her hair is looking different. She's got the pigtails back, but she's changing and twisting her hair differently, starting to look and associate herself more with the Fiend. Anytime, she was on Talking Smack last week, and you mentioned the Fiend, and she went from being normal Alexa Bliss to, she just goes off into this, she just goes off into a distance. She spaces out, and then she just, she's like, you know what, it's great to see you guys, I'm out of here. But she hit a Sister Abigail on Nikki Cross. Oh boy, what's going to happen next with her? Evans slides out on the Samoan drop, ends up hitting the woman's right on Snuka. Evans and Cross trade finish attempts. Cross with a neckbreaker to Evans. Evans rolls to the floor as Snuka grabs Cross. Cross blocks a Samoan drop and a super kick. Cross rolls Snuka up to pin and win and become the number 1 contender. After that, Cross celebrates and the music hits. Her match with Bayley is confirmed for the Clash of Champions, and there's no sign of a Bliss after that, after the Sister Abigail. So she just disappeared. It's going to be interesting to see what happens the way this goes on. Otis versus John Morrison. Of course, as you know, last week, John Morrison tried to steal the Money in the Bank contract, which that's not how it works. You can't just sit there and steal the Money in the Bank contract. You have to win it or earn it. So they have a match. Otis hits the Beta Bomb. Should we really fucking care? After the match, Otis stands tall and the music hits. Tucker brings the Money in the Bank briefcase with him. Morrison recovers on the outside. Who fucking cares? Miz, of course, grabbed Otis's lunchbox because he last week had the Money in the Bank briefcase. The Money in the Bank contract in their last week. So this week they figured, oh, we're going to steal that. They announced the show that Sheamus did the Big E last week. Nikki Cross and AJ Styles and Paul Heyman announced for Talking Smack with Kayla Braxton and her co-host Xavier Woods. New friend in the Final 5 Hunt House still to come. Back from break and Heavy Machine is backstage. Tucker wants to go to hunt Miz, but Otis tells him to relax. Otis reveals that his Money in the Bank contract is back in the large briefcase. We go to Miz and John Morrison now. Miz opens the lunchbox and there's an old Apple core. And not the contract. Miz takes out his phone and says he's calling in a favor. Obviously, he's not going to win. He's not going to keep the briefcase, the Money in the Bank contract. Obviously. I don't know why they gave it to Otis. Otis is not going to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase and end up winning it. Are you kidding me? Now, if they wanted to do something where he could use it for the tag team titles at Clash of Champions, I would be fine with that, but no. Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. Wyatt has something to get off his chest. He says that thanks to Roman's something special is missing from Funhouse, the WWE Universal title. He jokes about handling losses. He goes over to the Huskus the Pig and says in his box is a new member of the Firefly Funhouse. A new member has overcome so much in his life to make it this far. Wyatt calls out the other puppets and the friend to welcome persevering. I can't even say the name. Persevering Parrot. Everyone claps when Wyatt tries to persevering Parrot tries to get him to fly out of the box and say something inspirational, but he says nothing. We see nothing. Wyatt goes to let the parrot out of the box, but something surprises him. We get the brief technical difficulty graphic. Wyatt has a problem and says he probably should have cut some holes in the box. It appears the parrot is dead. He tosses the box and says, "Oh well." The evil Mr. McMahon puppet appears and starts yelling at Wyatt for losing the title and control of the Funhouse. He threatens to fire Wyatt if he can't keep the Funhouse together. The evil boss puppet then introduces the new special advisor of the Funhouse, Wobbly Walrus. He introduces himself and Wyatt isn't thrilled. Yowie Wally, the McMahon puppet, says this is such good shit or stuff because you can't say shit on Fox. The Walrus, which couldn't be inspired with Paul Heyman. My name is Wobbly Wallace. That's it for the segment, to be continued. And how many people were disappointed it wasn't Sister Abigail? Patience is a virtue, man. We don't know where they're going down this hill with Alexa Bliss. We're going to get there, and it looks like they're still continuing that. She hit Sister Abigail tonight. But now we have Paul Heyman making fun. Now they're making fun of Paul Heyman. Wow. Baron Corbin and Sheamus versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Should we care about this match? Not really. Baron Corbin sucks. Sheamus is just not what he used to be. Who cares? The match was bleh. And, of course, who do you think was going to win? They have a title match coming up on this at Clash of Champions. Do you really think that we're going to see Jey Uso get beat? Jey Uso and Roman Reigns lose this match? No. Jey goes up and comes off the top, but Sheamus catches him. They tangle some, and Uso ends up super kicking him. Jey goes to the top for the big splash, but he's not legal as Roman's tagged himself in. Jey doesn't realize at first. Roman stands tall in the corner, staring at Jey until he realizes the tag was made. Roman waits for Sheamus to get up, nails the spear, pin, and win. Now, after the match, Reigns stands tall and his music hits. Jey rolls to the floor to recover. Reigns exits the ring, makes a quick stop to look at his cousin, then marches up the ramp. We go to replays. Heyman meets Reigns at the stage and hands him the title. Jey stands next to Reigns on the stage and raises his arm. The arm that is holding the WWE Universal Championship. Reigns looks at the title, then his cousin, staring him down as we go off the air. So that tells you, right then and there, that things are going to pick up big time coming up soon. Reigns sees, you think you're going to get my championship, motherfucker? I'm going to kick your ass if you even think you're going to get my title. So, now, as we know, Smackdown had the most watched segment last week. Bayley beating up Sasha Banks. That was the most watched segment in all of wrestling in 2020, 2018, 2019. It's been a long time since we had a segment that was this watched. And then this week we had the why did Bayley do it? Now that, in my opinion, should have been your main event spot. Why did she do it? It should have been what you opened with or what you ended with. Jey versus Roman is going to be interesting because we've only really seen Jey wrestle one or two times by himself. Now, with them being cousins, it is beneficial because they know each other, I believe so. They know each other well. They do. Who is it going to be? Who's going to win? Obviously, Roman. You're not going to have Jey win the championship. You know how stupid that would look if Roman Reigns came back as a quote-unquote heel, which again, I say he's going to go completely full-blown heel on Jey Uso very, very soon. Whether it's next week or the week after that. They already teased it tonight with Jey holding out the championship arm and Roman looking up at the title and then looking down at this guy is like, this motherfucker thinks he's going to take my title. Well, yeah, you touch my title, you touch me again, I'm going to fuck you up. And that is exactly what's probably going to happen. So, the show was bleh. Like I said, like Bayley, I'm interested to see what happens here. Nikki Cross versus Bayley again. I mean, out of the four people who wrestled tonight, Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss was the only real option that you had. But will Nikki Cross have a little assist from the boss, or will Bayley get one last assist from Sasha Banks before Sasha Banks attacks her after the match and sets up a match for Hell in a Cell? Will they need the championship at Hell in a Cell? The way it's going, I don't think so. What's going on? What's going to happen with Big E? Don't know. He wasn't on the show tonight. Don't really care. All I know is we'll see how this goes. They have some interesting points. Alexa Bliss, what's she going to turn into? Is she going to become Sister Abigail? She's apparently starting to use Sister Abigail. So, yeah, SmackDown. I gotta say, SmackDown has some interesting points to it. Monday Night Raw hasn't for a long time. I mean, the only interesting thing they had on Monday Night Raw legitimately was Dominic's debut. And that's already done and over with, and the guy's passed with flying colors. So I just don't see anything left for us to care about Dominic versus, anything on Monday Night Raw. They don't have anything. The Retribution stuff is a joke. But we'll have to wait and see. That is your SmackDown review. It was a so-so show. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The Franz Club. Find me on twitch.tv, The Franz Club.